Before fighting in raucous public arenas like the Colosseum, ancient Roman gladiators squared off in far more solemn settings, funerals. Gladiator fights first appeared in the 3rd century BCE as ritual blood offerings to the spirits of recently deceased nobles, according to Michael J. Carter, a classics professor at Brock University in Ontario. When Augustus took power in Rome around 27 BCE, he detaches gladiatorial combat from its purely funerary context and makes it into a regular part of the entertainment cycle in Rome. Spartacus, Spiculus, Marcus Attilius, and other famous gladiators arose as a result of the shift. The majority of gladiators were enslaved people who were forced to fight. However, a small group of freeborn citizens volunteered in the hopes of earning money and fame. Gladiators trained for months in specialized schools run by wealthy investors who profited from their fighters' success before they could fight. Contrary to popular belief, gladiators did not always fight to the death. Instead, the fight continued until one of them surrendered, usually by raising a single finger. Overall, only about 10% to 20% of gladiators died during matches, owing to their high financial value to investors. It was difficult for gladiators to stand out. According to Murray, each warrior fought only 2 to 3 times per year, usually in events featuring 10 to 13 gladiator fights, with each individual match lasting about 10 to 15 minutes. Some, however, gained lasting renown through ancient artists or historians due to their extravagant personalities, personal backgrounds, or memorable performances. Here are 5 gladiators whose names are still remembered centuries later. Flama, the Syrian-born gladiator who rose to prominence during Emperor Hadrian's reign, 117 to 138 AD, is best known for the length of his career and for being granted his freedom 4 times, and repeatedly declining each time. Flama completed 34 matches, the majority of which took place in Sicily. He owed his long career not only to his success in the amphitheater, but also to the kindness of event organizers. He received 13 reprieves, in which umpires either spared his life during a defeat or declared both competitors winners. Flama's record demonstrates how reliant gladiators were on umpires, who could either save a losing gladiator's life or allow the opposing fighter to land the killing blow. Flama died at the age of 30, older than many of his contemporaries. Commodus. Commodus is best remembered today as the mad emperor whose disastrous reign from 180 to 192 AD marked the end of Rome's Golden Age, also known as the Pax Romana. Commodus, Marcus Aurelius' son, became co-emperor with his father at the age of 16, after his father died, possibly from disease, possibly from murder. He rose to power on his own in 180 AD. Cruel, lewd, and debauched, Commodus kept a harem of 600 boys and young women and considered himself a god. According to early historian Aelius Lampridius, he often walked around the palace enrobed in the mythic strongman's signature lion skin, believing he was the reincarnation of Hercules. Not surprisingly, Commodus referred to himself as a gladiator. He allegedly entered the ring 735 times, mostly against animals but also against other gladiators. According to historian Herodian, no rival fighter dared to hurt or kill a reigning emperor. Wounding Commodus seemed like a sure path to their own grisly death. Spiculus. Spiculus attended gladiator school in Capua, Italy, where he must have shown great promise. He faced Attilius, a veteran gladiator and free Roman who had won 16 fights. In his first amphitheater match, Spiculus defeated and then killed Attilius in a stunning upset. His victory drew the attention of Nero, the then emperor of Rome. Nero adored Spiculus and lavished him with gifts, including a palace. This put the young gladiator in an unusual social position. He was technically enslaved, but he lived in luxury, attended to by servants who were also enslaved. In 68 AD, as the empire faced rebellion and death, Nero asked his friend Spiculus to execute him, but Spiculus either ignored or refused the message, and Nero committed suicide. Following that, Roman citizens protesting his brutal reign began uprooting and destroying the emperor's statues, which the mob used to crush his friend Spiculus to death, according to the writer Plutarch. Marcus Attilius, a freeborn Roman, enrolled in gladiator school seemingly of his own volition, joining a small but elite pool of gladiators who volunteered to fight, to ensure that matches were as equal as possible. Roman officials usually assigned gladiators to compete against people of roughly similar experience levels, novices against novices, experts against experts. When Marcus Attilius first entered an amphitheater in Pompeii as a tyro, a term for a new gladiator, he faced Hilarus, a veteran fighter who had won 12 of 14 matches in his career, equating to several years of gladiatorial experience. Marcus Attilius, a young gladiator, not only fought Hilarus to a surrender, but then defeated another 12-time gladiator in his next battle. Back-to-back upsets prompted Pompeian graffiti artists to commemorate his accomplishment. While Attilius was likely not widely known throughout the Roman Empire, one scholar believes his fame was only regional at best. His renown in Pompeii came at a convenient historical moment. Mount Vesuvius erupted and buried the city, and its graffiti, in 79 AD, just a few decades after Attilius's fights, preserving his legacy for centuries. Spartacus, the most famous gladiator of ancient Rome, never fought in an amphitheater at all. Spartacus, who was immortalized in Kirk Douglas' 1960 film of the same name, was most likely born in the Balkans and sold into slavery to train at a gladiator school in Capua. Spartacus became fed up with the abuses of gladiator school in 73 BCE, still early in his training. He fled and sought refuge on Mount Vesuvius. Thousands of other enslaved gladiators soon fled their schools and joined Spartacus in organizing one of ancient Rome's most famous uprisings, the Third Servile War. Spartacus led an army of enslaved people, as many as 100,000, according to some estimates, to fight the Romans in Gaul a year after fleeing. His success galvanized the Roman Empire into action, and the following year, General Marcus Licinius Crassus crushed the rebels in Lucania. Spartacus' army was nearly entirely destroyed, including Spartacus himself. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe.